श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यईश्वरम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवां च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुत देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रियं। ओम तत्सत। So first of all, thank you for giving me opportunity. I am so much indebted to His Grace Ramananda Kannaya Prabhu, because he is engaging all the conditioned souls, even though conditioned soul like me are not eligible to take classes on Chaitanya Caritamrta, but this is the platform he has given to one and all, whoever is open. And also in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur says about the glories of Chaitanya Caritamrta. Just he says that Sunile Chaitanya Katha Bhakti Phala Dhare Janme Janme Chaitanya Sange Avatare. By hearing the topics of Sri Chaitanya, one attains the fruit of devotional service to the Supreme Lord and accompanies the Lord in his pastimes, life after life. So this is not a normal statement. It is none other than Vyasdeva, who is Vrindavan Das Thakur, is saying that whoever hears the topics of Sri Chaitanya, one attains the fruit of devotional service to the Supreme Lord. And also, what is the Palastruti? And accompanies the Lord in his pastimes, life after life. So we may not be knowing the value of association, especially in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, even though we are not qualified, but the previous Acharyas, the author himself is telling. And also it is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 11th chapter, 23 and 24 text. My dear Uddhava, narrations of my pastimes and qualities are all auspicious and purify the entire universe. A faithful person who constantly hears, glorifies and remembers such transcendental activities, who through dramatic performances relieves my pastime, beginning with my appearance, and who takes full shelter of me, dedicating his religious, sensual and occupational activities for my satisfaction, certainly obtains unflinching devotional service to me, the eternal personality of Godhead. So these are the statements from the Chaitanya Bhagavat and the Srimad Bhagavatam. If a living entity hears the topics of Sri Chaitanya Deva, his service attitude is awakened and he can accompany Sri Chaitanya in each of his incarnations within this world. So these are the certain glories of Chaitanya Charitamrita and hearing the Katha of Chaitanya Charitamrita. With this note, with the invocation prayers, I will start today's session, which is allotted to me. Ajanulambito Bujo Kanakavadato Sankirtanaika Pitaro Kamalaya-taksho Vishwambaro Dvijavaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priya Karo Karunavataro. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu, whose arms extend down to the knees, who have golden yellow complexions, and who inaugurated the congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Their eyes resemble the petals of a lotus flower. They are the maintainers of the living entities, the best of the Brahmanas, the protector of the religious principles for this age, the benefactors of the universe, and the most merciful of all incarnations. So with this note, I will start with my allotted slokas. So we are reading from Chaitanya Charitamrta, Adi Leelam, chapter 14. And in the previous sessions, exalted devotees have covered up to the text 42. So I'm going to continue with the text 43 onwards. Tuni krudahana prabhu gara bitarayana ghare yata banda chile pelila bangiyam. Thus rebuked by his mother, the Lord would go in anger to a room and break all the pots within it. Text 44. Tabe sachi kole kare karela santosha lajita haila prabhu jani nija dosha. Then Sachi Mata would take her son on her lap and pacify him, and the Lord would be very much ashamed, admitting his faults. Purport. There is a nice description of the faults of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his childhood in the Chaitanya Bhagavata, Adi Khanda, chapter 3, where it is said that as a child, the Lord used to steal all kinds of eatables from the house of neighboring friends. In some houses, he would steal milk and drink it, and in others, he would steal and eat prepared rice. Sometimes he would break cooking pots. If there was nothing to eat, but there were small babies, the Lord would tease the babies and make them cry. Sometimes a neighbor would complain to Sachimata, my child is very small, but your child puts water in his ears and makes him cry. Kabu mrudu haste kaile mate ke tadanam, mate ke murchita dekhe karaya krandanam. Once the child Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised his mother with his soft hand, and his mother pretended to faint. Seeing this, the Lord began to cry. Nari gana kahe, nari kela dehani, tabe shusta haibe tomara janani. The neighboring ladies told him, dear child, please bring a coconut from somewhere, and then your mother will be cured. Bahire yana nile dui nari kela, dekhiya purvahele vishwamita sakala. He then went outside the house and immediately brought 2 coconuts. All the ladies were astonished to see such wonderful activities. Kabu shishu sange snana karile gangete, kanya gana aila tahan devata pujite. Sometimes the Lord would go with other children to bathe in Ganges, and the neighboring girls would also come there to worship various demigods. According to Vedic system, when small girls 10 or 12 years old would go to the bank of the Ganges to take their bath, they would especially worship Lord Shiva with prayers to get good husbands in the future. They especially wanted to get a husband like Lord Shiva because Lord Shiva is very peaceful and at the same time most powerful. Formerly, therefore, small girls in Hindu families would worship Lord Shiva, especially in the month of Vaishak, April, May. To take a bath in the Ganges is a great pleasure for everyone, not only for adults, but for children also. So here we can see the author, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, is narrating the childhood pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And my question to all the audience is, how many of you, if opportunity is given, we want to have our childhood activities? Because childhood activities are so innocent, so natural. And here the Lord himself is performing this childhood pastime. And we know that even though we are insignificant souls, but when in childhood, so many people helped us, so many, especially the mother and the relatives, and everything we were like a blank white paper, and we were innocent, and everything we were learning. And here, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is explaining how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Lord Krishna, he is doing these naughty things in his childhood pastimes, and this is all these pastimes is within the year 5 years of age. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that was 4 years old, and all these pastimes are happening. And also in the overview, I want to mention that how these childhood pastimes are glorious. And in the whole chapter talks about the childhood pastime, and especially like from text 1 to text 47, the different objectives are there. Like text 1 to 5 is the obeisances and prayers, and the text 60 to 20 is the name giving ceremony of the Lord, which in the previous sessions the devotees have glorified. And the text 21 to 36, so the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eats the dirt, the mud. And then text 37 to 47, so 5 more childhood pastimes, which is up to week 43, and it was covered, like especially the Brahmana guest, kidnapping by the 2 thieves, then eating Ekadashi Prasadam from the houses of Hiranya and Jagadisha, stealing and naughty activities, and bringing 2 coconuts for Mother Sachi. So in the today's purport also, we saw that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of just to play around with mother, he just something touched mother to just fall down or something. Then Mother Sachi, she really become unconscious to show the inquisitiveness of the child, Nimai. So that time Chaitanya Mahaprabhu become really concerned that my mother become unconscious. What to do not know. And then when the neighboring women saw this, then they told that you bring the green coconuts. Then immediately, even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was at the age of 4, he went outside and he brought the coconuts. So this is the childhood pastimes of the Lord. And now today we are going to cover from text 48 to 70. Nimai teases the young girls and meets the Lakshmi Devi, consort Lakshmi Devi. Here we will be seeing on the banks of the Ganga, Nimai would tease the local girls by taking the demigods offering and saying, if you worship me, you will get good husbands. Otherwise, you will get old husbands with 4 wives. These are the childhood naughty pastimes. How Krishna did all the pastimes in 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is mentioned the childhood pastimes of Krishna, like Krishna steal the dresses of the young gopis, and he did so many pastimes. And same thing is here. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is narrating the childhood pastimes of Nitai, that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Nimai meets Lakshmi Devi, their natural love for each other awakened. Upon the instructions of Nimai, Lakshmi worshipped him. And then the conclusion of this chapter will be from text 71 to 97, amazement of Nimai's parents. So the neighbors complain about Nimai's naughty behavior. Nimai sits on dirty pots and says that the pots used for cooking the Lord's bhoga cannot be impure. Sachimata would sometimes see demigods offering prayers and hear the tinkling of ankle bells from Nimai's bare food. And then Jagannath Mishra's conversation with the Brahmana in a dream about educating and disciplining Nimai. And the final ceremonies of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So these are the chapters overview. So of course, I will be not going each and every word, but what is the gist of it? What is the message Srila Prabhupada is giving in the purpose? Those things will be covered here. So further, text 49. Ganga snane kari puja karite lagila kanyaya gana madhe prabhu ashiya basikla. When the girls engaged in worshipping the different demigods after bathing in the Ganges, the young lord would come there and sit down among them. Kanyara kahe ama puja me dibavara, Ganga Durga Dashi Mura Mahesha Kinkara. Addressing the girls, the Lord would say, worship me, and I shall give you good husbands and good benedictions. The Ganges and the goddess Durga are my maid servant. What to speak of other demigods? Even Lord Shiva is my servant. So here we can see that how all the Devi Devatas are the subordinates to the Lord. So that's why in the 10 offenses we say that even the Brahma and Shiva is the subordinates of Krishna. So here further in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that God is one, but there are many other powerful living entities who are in charge of different departments of administration. All the demigods are servants who carry out the orders of the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. One who becomes a devotee and worshipper of the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not need to go to the demigods for any benedictions, because he obtains everything by the grace of the Supreme Lord. So this is something very, very important, because before coming to Krishna conscious, I'm talking about myself, we used to worship so many Devi Devatas, unlimited Devi Devatas, and asking for give me this, give me that, give me that. But here Srila Prabhupada is telling that if you surrender to the Supreme Lord, if you worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then no need to go to the other Devi Devatas. And in the Bhagavad Gita 7.20 and 28 also mentions that Kamesteste Ritagnana Prapadante Anna Devata Tam Tam Niyamam Astaya Prakriti Niyata Swayam. Only person whose intelligence is lost and who are mad with lusty desires worship the demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own nature. Esham tava antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvanda moha nirmukta bhajante mama drida vritaha. This is also one of the important shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. So here Srila Prabhupada says that the most intelligent worship only the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. So if by chance, if somebody worships, of course it is not by chance, many people worship the Devi Devatas. And here Prabhupada is telling that they are not intelligent people. The only intelligent people are those who worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. So further purport in the purport, Prabhupada mentions that our propaganda is simply meant to enable intelligent people to understand the distinction between matter and the spirit and understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the whole spiritual identity. That is our mission. So Srila Prabhupada gives the mission and mood, how a devotee can, by surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the desires are fulfilled. Like example, when we put the water to the root, so automatically the nourishment takes place. So automatically the fruits, flowers, everything comes. So similarly, when we worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, everything is fulfilled. So further, Prabhupada mentions that one should not divert his attention to the worship of the demigods. Such control is a symptom of pure devotional service. Text 51. Apani chandana pare parena pula mala naivedya ka diya kahana sandesha chala kala. Without the permission of the girls, the Lord would take the sandalwood pulp and smear it on his own body, put the flower garlands on his neck and snatch and eat all the offerings of sweetmeats, rice and banana. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that the worship of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is recommended in Srimad Bhagavatam. In Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32 mentions Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yagna Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Sumedasam. One should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead who appears in this age of Kali with his associates as the Pancha Tattva, the Lord himself and his associates, Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Advaita Prabhu, Sri Gadadhar Prabhu, and Srivas Thakura. In this age, an intelligent person worships the Pancha Tattva by the method of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and, if possible, distributing prasadam. Our Krishna conscious movement is introducing this bona fide method of worship in the Western world. Its members are going from village to village and town to town with the deities of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, teaching people how to worship the Lord by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, offering prasadam, and distributing prasadam to people in general. So, how Srila Prabhupada is so nicely explaining in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is dream come true. This is the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that every village and town will be inundated with the love of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that is a fact. With my little experience coming to Krishna consciousness, now we can see that even in a town or a village, one devotee is there, he can make so many devotees. That is the mercy of our Guru Parampara. That is the mercy of previous Acharyas. And that is the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that is the Yuga Dharma. So we cannot do like Yajna, Havan, Tapa, meditation. All this is not practical. And that's why just by chanting the holy name, Kali Kale Namarupa Krishna Avatar, Lord has appeared in this Kali Yuga just by in the form of a name. So that's why the name and the name, there is no difference. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful that he is giving the love of Krishna to one and all. He is not seeing what is good or what is bad. He is giving love of Krishna to one and all. Kruda Kanya Gana Kahe Sunai Nimani Grama Sambandhe Hoye Tumi Ama Savara Bhai. All the girls become very angry at the Lord for this behavior. Dear Nimai, they told him, you are just like our brother in our village relationship. And also, to narrate, in the Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto, it is mentioned that how a person can be prosperous. If a person wants to be prosperous, it is not that the money only can make the person prosperous. A person should have a good weather. He should live in a peaceful, calm atmosphere, and it should have nearby river or ocean, because we can see that in the childhood pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Ganga is near. So in olden days, they never used to go for like a bathroom or this thing. They used to go naturally, go to the river, and you can do all the activities. You can do all the activities of morning activities, whatever is to be done, it has to be done in the river. So the Ganges are so pure. So that's how the activities of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is happening. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go to the river, and when he was passing by, so many young girls, they used to go to river to take bath and worship the Lord Shiva. And that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to tease those girls, saying that if you are not giving whatever offerings to me, then you will get a very old husband. But if you give me, then you will get a very nice husband, and he will be opulent, and you will be having many children. Like that, he used to tease to the young girls. Ama sabha kare pakshe iha karite na yaya na laha devata saji na kara anyaya. Therefore, it does not behove you to act like this. Do not take our paraphernalia for worship of the demigod. Do not create a disturbance in this way. Prabhu kahe toma sabha ke dile ye vara toma sabara bharta habe parama sundaram. Pandita vidagda yuva dhana dhanyavan sata sata putra habe chirayu matiman. They will be learned, clever and young, and possess abundant wealth and rice. Not only that, but you will each have 7 sons who will all live long lives and be very intelligent. So for a woman, the wealth is the children's. And we can see in the olden days, like in olden days, a dozen children will be there, and they had no problems. But now we can see the age of Kali, how it is deteriorating. Even two children, we are struggling, and like it is hand to mouth. But in the few decades before, in the villages, we can see that somebody is having 12 children, somebody is having 8 children, somebody is having 5 children. It was not like one children or two children. And this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling, that if you give your offerings, then what will happen? One is rich if he possesses food grains, cows, and bulls. So these are the assets. These are the actually economic development if we want. Srila Prabhupada mentions always that one should possess food grains. And how we can have food grains? If we have agriculture land, if we do agriculture only, we'll have food grains. And the cow, mother cow is like, it gives milk, then we can make yogurt, we can make ghee, and then that will give the income. And the bulls, they do the field work, and that's how the economic problem was solved. But the natural ambition of girl is to possess not only more than one child, but at least half a dozen. And this is the natural inquisitive of a woman, Srila Prabhupada mentions. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted sannyasa at an early age, it is not necessary for his devotees to follow him by also taking sannyasa. One can stay a householder, but one must be a devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then one will be happy with all the material opulences of a good home, good children, good maid, good wealth, and everything he desires. Every householder, therefore, who is actually intelligent should introduce the Sankirtana moment home to home and live peacefully in this life and go back to Godhead in the next. So here Srila Prabhupada mentions very clearly that it is not that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taken sannyas at young age. That means all the ISKCON devotees should become sannyasis. No. Of course, we can follow the footsteps, but we cannot imitate what the Lord's pastimes are there. So here Srila Prabhupada mentions that we can be based on our gunas and karmas, the varna ashrama is there. So wherever we fit, you do that. Sthane sthiti, wherever you are, whatever you are doing, you do that, but worship the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Varasune kanya ganera antare santosha, bahire batsana kare kare mitaya rosha. Hearing this benediction from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the girls were inwardly very happy, but externally, as it's natural for girls, they rebuked the Lord under the pretense of anger. So this is the mood of the women. This double dealing is natural for girls, especially girls. We all know that whoever, like before coming to Krishna conscious or during Krishna conscious, whoever has fallen in love with a girl, they know this very well. When they are satisfied, girls' nature is that when they are satisfied within, they externally show dissatisfaction. This we can see in our houses also, in the wife. When she is happy internally, she will show still externally dissatisfaction. And this is the nature of girl or a woman. Such feminine dealings are very palatable to boys who try to make friendship with them. So that's how the fall in love happens. So it is nothing new. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also fall in love with the Lakshmi Priya, that we will be seeing. Kona kanya palaila naivedyalaya tare dake kahe Prabhu sakroda hayya. When some of the girls fled, the Lord called them in anger and advised them as follows. Yadi naivedya na de deha aya kripani buddha bharta hobe ara chari chari satini. If you are miserly and do not give me the offerings, every one of you will have an old husband with at least 4 co-wives. And the subsequently here we can see in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that generally in every society, the female population is greater in number than the male population. So always, that's why women takes the lead. And further, the practical difficulty is to find a husband for each and every girl. We are therefore in favor of polygamy, provided, of course, that the husband is able to maintain more than one wife. So in olden days, people used to get more than one wife. Why? Because the women population is so much, and this is mentioned in the scriptures. And here Prabhupada mentions that if you have a capability, you can marry more than one wife. But in Kali Yuga, as the day degradation of age is happening, even to maintain one wife and two children is a great struggle. But in olden days, it is to happen, and that is the fact. Iha sunita sabara mane haila bhaya kona kichu jane ki ba deva vishta haya. Hearing this supposed curse by Lord Chaitanya, the girls, considering that he might know something uncommon or be empowered by demigod, were afraid that his curse might be effective. Now the girls are coming to the senses. They are thinking that if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is cursing, if this becomes true, then it is a problem. Then further, Aniya Naivedya Tara Samukhe Darila Khaya Naivedya Tari Ishtavara Dila. The girls then brought the offerings before the Lord, who ate them all and blessed the girls to their satisfaction. Ye mata chapalya sabha lokere dekhaya dukha koro mane nahi sabha sukha paya. When this cunning behavior of the Lord with the girls became known to the people in general, it did not create misunderstanding among them. Rather, they enjoyed happiness in these dealings. So this is the difference between the Supreme Personality of Godhead and ordinary conditioned souls. Even though Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nimai is doing all these naughty things, but the girls were really enjoying this pastime. Ekadine Vallabhacharya Kanya Lakshmi Nama Devata Pujite Aila Kari Ganga Snana. One day, a girl of name Lakshmi, the daughter of Vallabhacharya, came to the bank of the Ganges to take a bath in the river and worship the demigods. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that according to Gora Gano Desha Deepika, Lakshmi was formerly Janaki, the wife of Lord Ramachandra, and Rukmini, the wife of Lord Krishna in Dwaraka. The same goddess of fortune descended as Lakshmi to become the wife of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So these are the nectarian pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Tanhare deke prabhura haila sabi lashamana Lakshmi chitte priti paila prabhura darshana. Seeing Lakshmi Devi, the Lord became attached to her, and Lakshmi, upon seeing the Lord, felt great satisfaction within her mind. Sahajika priti dunara karila udaya bale bhava channa tobu haila nischaya. The natural love for each other awakened, and although it was covered by childhood emotions, it became apparent that they were mutually attracted. So here, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lakshmi Devi are eternal husband and wife. Therefore, it was quite natural for the dormant love to awaken when they saw each other. Their natural feelings were immediately awakened by their meeting. So that's how Lakshmi Priya and Mother Lakshmi Priya and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meets. Duna deki dunhara chitte haila ullasa deva puja chale kaile duni parikasha. Thus, both enjoy natural pleasure in seeing each other, and under the pretext of demigod worship, they manifested their feelings. So, Lakshmi Priya, on the pretext of worshipping the Lord Shiva, all these pastimes are happening. Prabhu kahe ama puja ami maheshwara amare pujile pabe abhipshita vara. The Lord told Lakshmi, just worship me, for I am the Supreme Lord. If you worship me, certainly you will get the benediction you desire. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that this is the same philosophy declared by Lord Krishna himself. So, in all the scriptures, especially Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrta, Bhagavad Gita, how it is emphasized and it is clearly mentioned that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is non-different from the Lord Krishna. And here Prabhupada mentions in the purport, which is from Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja Aham Tvam Sarva Pape Bhayo Moksheshyami Ma Sucha. So what Lord Krishna told in the Bhagavad Gita, the same thing, it is narrations are there in the Chaitanya Charitamrta, which author Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is explaining. So further, when one goes to a river where there is a water constantly flowing in waves, that water can serve all its purposes. So whatever Devi Devata worship and all we are doing, Prabhupada gives the analogy of a well, as a well and the river. When we go to the well, only the purpose, one purpose is solved. But when we go to the flowing river, the Ganges, then we can do all the activities there. So that's how is just by taking surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our purpose of this human form of life is successful. If one worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, all his goals will be achieved. Further, Kamesteste Vitagnana Prapadante Anna Devata. Only men who have lost their intelligence worship the various demigods to fulfill their desires. So Srila Prabhupada further emphasizing that we should not encourage the Devi Devata worship. We should always worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lakshmi Tanare Ange Dila Pushpa Chandana Malikara Maladiya Karila Vandana. On hearing the order of the Supreme Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lakshmi immediately worshipped him, offering sandalwood pulp and flowers for his body, garlanding him with Malika flowers and offering prayers. Prabhu Tanara Puja Pana Hashite Lagila Slokapadi Tanara Bhava Angikara Kaila. Being worshipped by Lakshmi, the Lord began to smile. He recited a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam and thus accepted the emotions expressed. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the verse quoted in this connection is the 25th verse of the 22nd chapter, 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The gopis worshipped goddess Durga or Caitanya, but their inner desire was to get Lord Krishna as their husband. Krishna as Paramatma could realize the ardent desire of the gopis, and therefore he enjoyed the pastimes of Vastraharana. So we see in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam where Lord Krishna he steals the gopis' garments. When the gopis went to bathe in the river Yamuna, they left their garments on the land and dipped into the water completely naked. Taking this opportunity, Krishna stole all their garments and sat down on the top of the tree with them, desiring to see the girls naked just to become their husband. The gopis desired to have Krishna as their husband, and since it is the only before her husband that a woman can be naked. To fulfill their desire, Lord Krishna accepted their praise by these pastimes of stealing their garments. When the gopis received their garments back from Krishna, Krishna recited this verse. So this is the narration is mentioned in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So actually, gopis were desire is to please the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. Even though they were worshipping the devatas to get the nice husband, but actually Krishna is the controller. He is the master. He is the husband, and he is everything of all. And that was the intense desire of the gopis, and that's how Krishna knows each and everyone's heart what is happening, and Krishna fulfills the desire. So gopis were pure devotees of the Lord, and that's why Lord Krishna did this pastime. Sankalpa vidita sadhaiva bhavitanam mad archanam mayanumodita so aso satya bhavitam arhati. My dear gopis, I accept your desire to have me as your husband and thus worship me. I wish your desire to be fulfilled because it deserves to be so. So that's how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood the mood of Lakshmi Devi, and they both they both accepted the feelings, and that's how Lakshmi Priya given the garland to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. ये माता लीला करे दुन्हे गेला गारे गंभीरा चैतन्य लीला के बुझते पारे. After thus expressing their feelings to each other, Lord Chaitanya and Lakshmi returned home. Who can understand the grave pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Chaitanya Chapalya deke prema sarva jana sachi jagannatha deke dena alohana. When the neighboring people saw the naughty behavior of Lord Chaitanya, out of love for him, they lodged complaints with Sachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra. Ekadine Sachi Devi Putrera Bhaktisya Dari Bare Gela Putra Gela Palaya. One day, Mother Sachi went to catch her son, wanting to rebuke him, but he fled from the spot. Uchista Gate Takta Handira Upara Boshiyache Sukhe Prabhu Deva Vishwambara. Although he is the maintainer of the entire universe, the Lord sat upon some rejected pots in the pit where the remnants of food were thrown after the pots had been used for cooking. Purport. So this is in the purport. Srila Prabhupada mentions that formerly it was the custom of Brahmanas to worship Lord Vishnu daily at home and cook food in new pots. This system is still going on in the Jagannath Puri. The food would be cooked in the earthen pots, all fresh and new. After cooking, the pots would be thrown away. By the side of the house, there was generally a big pit where such pots were thrown. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down on the pots very pleasingly just to give his mother a lesson. So here we can see in the whoever is from village, they can know that in the village there is no like dustbin or something. There will be a pit, whatever the kachra is there, whatever food grains, wastage is there, we put it in that. And that becomes the, again, they will put this once in a year to the agriculture field. Well, it will become a nutritious for the farms. So that's how it is. Not like currently they are utilizing urea or something to grow the plants, but actually earlier in olden days, the organic agriculture used to happen. And this is how all these pots were put into that, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is sitting there. Sachi ashe kahe kene asuchi chunila Ganga snane karayai apavitra haila. When Mother Sachi saw her boy sitting on the rejected pot, she protested, "Why have you touched these untouchable pots? You have now become impure. Go and bathe in the Ganges." So Sachi Mata was very strict. She was chastising, why you have sit in that place which is a contaminated place. Now you go and take bath in the Ganges. Hiyasuni mata ka kaile brahma jnana vishmita hoye mata karela snana. Hearing this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught his mother about absolute knowledge. Although amazed by this, his mother forced him to take bath. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that the absolute knowledge explained by the Lord to his mother is described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura in his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya as follows. The Lord said, "Mother, that this is pure and that is impure is surely a worldly sentiment with no basis in fact. You have cooked food for Lord Vishnu within these pots and offered the food to him. How then can these pots be untouchable? Everything in relationship with Vishnu is to be considered an expansion of Vishnu's energy. Vishnu, the super soul, is eternal and uncontaminated. Then how then may these pots be considered pure or impure?" Hearing this discourse and absolute knowledge, his mother was very much astonished and forced him to take a bath. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling to the mother and explaining what is the absolute truth. You are worshipping the Lord Vishnu, and everything, whatever engage in the worship of the Vishnu, it becomes, it cannot be impure, it is pure. And this is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is convincing Mother Sachi. Kabu putra sange Sachi karila sayana dekhe diva lokashi barila bhavana. Sometimes taking her son with her, Mother Sachi would lie down on her bed, and she would see that denizens of the celestial world had come there, filling the entire house. Sachi bale yaha putra bola bape ram matre ajaya apaya prabhu chalila bahire. Once Mother Sachi told the Lord, please go, call your father. Receiving this order from his mother, the Lord went out to call him. Chalite charan na pura baje janjana tuni chamakita hele pita matura mana. When the child was going out, there was a tinkling of ankle bells from his lotus feet. Hearing this, his father and mother were struck with wonder. So this is the something intimate pastimes are happening. Actually, Nimai was not having any ankle bells in the legs, but when Sachi Mata saw this, that she told that you call your father, and when Nimai is going, she can see hear the ankle bell sound. So these are the certain subtle things are happening in the childhood pastime. मिश्रा काय बड़ा अद्भुत कहिनी शिशु सुन्ना पादे के ने नुपुरेरा ध्वनि. Jagannath Mishra shared, this is very wonderful incident. Why is there a sound of ankle bells from the bare feet of my child? Sachi kaye araye ka adbhuta dekila divya divya lokashi angana barila. Mother Sachi said, I also saw another wonder. People were coming down from the celestial kingdom and crowding the entire courtyard. Kiba kolahala kare bujita na pare kaha kava stuti kare anumana kare. They made noisy sounds. I could not understand. I guess they were offering prayers to someone. Mishra bale kichu hak chinta kichu nai Vishwambare kushala hake yei matra chai. Jagannath Mishra replied, never mind what it is. There is no need to worry. Let there always be good fortune for Vishwambara. This is all I want. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's another name is Vishwambara. So we can see the Devi Devatas are appearing in the house of Sachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra, and all these pastimes are happening. How nectarian it is. Ekadine Mishra Putrera Chapalya Dekhiya Dharma Siksha Dile Bahu Barshana Kariya. On another occasion, Jagannath Mishra, seeing the mischievous acts of his son, gave him lessons in morality after rebuking him greatly. रात्रे स्वप्न देखी एकाशी ब्रह्मणा मिश्रेरा कहया किचु सोरो वचना. On that day, very night, Jagannath Mishra dreamt that a Brahmana had come before him speaking these words in great anger. Mishra tume putrera tatva kichu na jana basana tadana kara putra kari mana. My dear Mishra, you do not know anything about your son. You think him your son, and therefore you rebuke and chastise him. Mishra kahe deva siddho muni kehanaya yese bada hukam atra amara tanaya. Jagannath Mishra replied, this boy may be a demigod, a mystic, yogi, or a great saintly person. It doesn't matter what he is, for I think he is only my son. Putrera lonana siksha pitara swadharma amina sikhale kaicha janiba dharma morma. It is the duty of a father to educate his son in both religion and morality. If I do not give him this education, how will he know of it? So here, Jagannath Mishra is teaching that how a father should be teaching the concepts of the Shastras. So even though Nimai is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are knowing all the symptoms, but still Jagannath Mishra is telling that I have to teach him. Viprakaye putra yadi daiva siddhaya swatha siddha jnana tabi siksha vartahaya. The Brahmana replied, if your son is transcendental mystic boy with self-effulgent perfect knowledge, what is the use of your education? The Brahmana Jagannath Mishra saw in his dream, told him that his son was not an ordinary human being. If he were a transcendental person, he would have self-effulgent knowledge, and thus there would be no need to educate him. Mishra kahe putra ke ne naha narayana tathapi pittora dharma putrera shikshana. Jagannath Mishra replied, even if my son is not a common man but Narayana, still it is the duty of a father to instruct his son. Ye mata dunhe karena dharmera vichara vishuddha vatsalya mishra nahi jane ara. In this way, Jagannath Mishra and the Brahmana discussed the principles of religion in the dream. Yet Jagannath Mishra was absorbed in unalloyed parental mellow and did not want to know anything else. So these pastimes are happening in the dream, the Brahmana and the Jagannath Mishra. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is worshipped with the exalted hymns by all the Vedas and Upanishads and the great personalities through Sankhya Yoga in the mode of goodness, was considered by Mother Yashoda and Nanda to be their own little son. Similarly, Jagannath Mishra also considered Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu his beloved little boy, although he is worshipped with all the veneration by learned Brahmanas and saintly persons. Eta suni dvija gela hana anditida Mishra jagi yahi aila parama vishmita. Being very pleased, the Brahmana left after taking with Jagannath Mishra, and when Jagannath Mishra awakened from his dream, he was very much astonished. Bandhu bandhava sthane swapna kahila suniya sakala loka vishmita hila. He dreamt he related the dream to his friends and relatives, and every one of them was very much astonished to hear it. Hey Mata Shishu Lila Kore Gaura Chandra Dine Dine Pita Mataram Badaya Nanda. In this way, Gaurahari performed his childhood pastimes and day after day increased the pleasure of his parents. Tata Dine Mishra Putrera Hatya Kadi Dila Alpa Dina Dvadasa Pala Akshara Shikhila. So after some days, Jagannath Mishra inaugurated the primary education of his son by performing Hate Hadi ceremony. Within a very few days, the Lord learned all the letters and combination of letters. And in few slokas, we will be completing in few minutes. The 12 pala or combination of letters are called Refa, Murdanya, Na, Dantavya, Na, Ma, Ya, Ra, La, Va, Ra, Ra. So these are the Sanskrit words. So this is what when Akshara Abhyasa happens. So everyone, when a child wants to, like if a baby is 6 months old, they will give like grains to eat. So that's how here father Jagannath Mishra is doing the ceremony. It is called Hit Khandi ceremony. Balya Lila Sutra Ye Kaila Anukrama Iha Vistarya Chena Dasha Vrindavana. This is the synopsis of the childhood pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, placed herewith in the chronological order. Vrindavan Das Thakur has already elaborately explained this pastime in his book Chaitanya Bhagavat. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is glorifying the Vrindavan Das Thakur because very elaborately explained the childhood pastimes in Chaitanya Bhagavat. Athaiva ilila Sankshepa Sutra Kaila Punareka Bhaye Vistarya Na Kaila. I have therefore made only a brief summary, being afraid of a repetition. I have not elaborated upon this subject matter. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunatha, always desiring their mercy, I Krishnadas narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta Adilila 14th chapter describing the Lord Chaitanya's childhood pastimes. So with this note, I conclude here. Chaitanya Charitamrta class ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Thank you very much for hearing patiently. If any mistakes or errors, please ignore. If you find something good, all glories to my Guru Maharaj and previous Acharya. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Over to Kanaya Prabhuji.
Hari Bol Prabhu. Wonderful. We didn't even notice that the time is 9:05. So Bhadradesh time. So engrossed in childhood pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Prabhu. So beautifully explained and nicely you covered every pastime. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So you completed the chapter and left the next chapter for me to continue. I was thinking where you will stop and where to start. So you have completed childhood pastimes, and next week I'll, by mercy of Nityananda Singh Prabhu, so he gave me an opportunity next week to continue discussing about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So if we have any questions, comments, request devotees to please come forward. Everybody is so much engrossed. No one has questions to. Yeah, VP Govinda Prabhu, Hari Bol, a long time we are seeing you here. Prabhuji,
Hare
please.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It's such a pleasure. Always been there listening. And it's a pleasure always to listen to Nityananda Simha Prabhuji. Especially, I remember time spent with him, listening to him live. So, Prabhuji, I have a question. I would not dare to ask anyone else, but I think I can ask you. You know me, I do get different kind of questions, and I was just thinking, this question I don't think I have ever asked anyone else. But as I said, this is a closed group, and all the devotees are highly elevated. So hopefully, will able to help me. Prabhuji, the the session was so great, and there were so many different pastimes there. And this is one of the beauties of our Shastras, that all full of pastimes, and all the devotees, they cherish the pastimes. But the question is, Prabhuji, if I'm thinking, and this is my thought process, and let me know by all means if I'm thinking wrong, but I'm thinking, so of course there are three different levels of devotees, if we say, just for the understanding or the discussion point. But if I will say, there are two different types of people in general. One are non-devotees and one are devotees. Right? And then, of course, non-devotees could be different categories, devotees could be different categories. But when both of these categories, non-devotees and devotees, when they read the Shastras, so for example, Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrta, then devotees will cherish all the pastimes, and the pastimes could be of two different reasons. One could be to cherish yourself. So when we are alone, we read it, we get the ecstasy. When we read Damodarashtakam, Narsimhadev's Prahlad Maharaj's pastime, or Damodarashtakam. And then the other side is non-devotees. Of course, because they are non-devotees by definition, they will not understand. They might just hear as a story, like there are many Bollywood stories, and they might not feel what a devotee will feel. Right? But I'm thinking of, so each and every pastime will have a purpose to solve, which maybe the moral story, because I read a lot of stories to the kids, and at the end, I always say, okay, this is the moral of the story. Now, what I'm thinking, what we say in Krishna Leela is a Chirharan, which you refer to, and what we mention here for Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji as well. And there are similar incidents there, where obviously Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji, or Krishna, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the owner of everyone. So for him, doing all these things is not bad, and that's a part of the Leela. But what I'm thinking, for devotees, maybe, so if for me, the purpose is to cherish it, maybe if I'm alone and if I'm not so elevated, then isn't it better for me to cherish the pastimes, which are other three different categories I said, which could be Damodarashtakam or Prahlad Maharaj, Narsimha Dev's pastime, or Gajendra Moksh, or similar kind of, rather than Chirharan kind of pastimes. And of course, if the devotee who is not of highly elevated level, if devotee can get bewildered, of course I cannot, or it will be very hard for me to share these with my little daughter, because she's going to ask so many different questions based on that. Because you did mention 10 to 12 years old girls, and they are, so the target audience for my kids belong to that. And of course, if this is for devotees and non-devotees, they're out of question. They're just gonna get bewildered from this. So I'm thinking, Prabhuji, what's the moral of having these pastimes in the Shastras? Or what do we get out of it? I mean, I can see the side effects. I can see devotees and non-devotees, they both can get bewildered. And of course, you would know non-devotees, they raise questions a lot of times. And I'm thinking for myself that definitely, if I will read alone, I would rather love to read other three different kind of pastimes I mentioned. If I would like to read the pastime to somebody else, then also I will prefer not to have this pastime but others, because there are so many learnings in others. So this is the question, Prabhuji. So sorry, I had to be careful the way I put the question, and that's the reason I took more time. But if you deem that this is a valid question, go for it. If you think no, Prabhuji, spend more time chanting and you will get the answer, by all means, I will try that, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for listening, Prabhuji. Hare Prabhuji.
Thank you for narrating, Prabhuji, but I lost because it was not a question, it was like a pastime. So what is your, to the point, what exactly you are asking, Prabhuji? Can I get in one line, what is the question?
Sure, Prabhuji. The question is, Prabhuji, the Chir Haran, which happened at the time of Krishna, and similar for Chaitanya Mahaprabhuji as well, what's the purpose of this pastime? And should it be there? Because it's very bewildered.
Thank you, Prabhu. Purpose is one only, the supremacy of the Lord. Lord is telling, I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is telling in the Bhagavad Gita, he is telling in the Bhagavatam, he is telling in Chaitanya Caritamrta, and he is doing all these pastimes just to attract the conditioned souls to him. Of course, for a what you say, the fallen conditioned souls, we may take it as a just a meeting between a women and a man, but it is not so. Even the gopis, their desire is to get the Lord as a husband, and that's why the supremacy is mentioned in the 10th canto. That's why 10th canto, Srila Prabhupada mentions that we need to go from first canto, from the cover page, then like that staircase, then you really understand. But the message is the question, the whatever you are asking question, why he does this, because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we can see that he has done. Nobody else, you and me will do, we will be in the jail for sure, no doubt. And that is how the conditioned soul and the Supreme Personal, supremacy of the Lord. Maybe in short, that is my answer, but here exalted devotees are there. Sham Sundar Prabhuji, can you enlighten on this question?
Krishna, Hare Krishna. Very simple answer. Prabhu asked why non-devotees are not bewildered. Non-devotees are bewildered, devotees are not bewildered. One point, he said. Because we have more faith on Supreme Lord. That is why we never bewildered. One point. Second point, why Mahaprabhu Krishna was doing a lot of pastimes means, see, we read one Mahaprabhu going to other neighboring houses, and same children making cry. Why? Externally, it looks like a naughty boy making cry, but in the inner meaning, Supreme Lord awakening the conditioned soul, please turn towards me. I am Supreme Lord. So, like Jeev Jago. Similarly, Mahaprabhu doing by action to awakening the conditioned soul, please wake up, worship me, surrender unto me. This is the inner meaning. We should understand this one. Say similar way, all pastimes, each and every pastimes, why sitting on the used mud pot? To teach mother. So the point Prabhupada mentioned clearly in the point, this pot used prepared boga to offer the Vishnu Lord. How can you say it is contaminated? That means everything belongs to Krishna is more pure, because Krishna is pure. Krishna said, Bhagavad Gita, I am Pavitram Vankaram. So that's why he is Krishna is pure. Whatever parfum using for him, everything pure. In this way, we can understand the inner meaning of each and every pastimes. There is a meaning. Similarly, Yashoda, Nanda Maharaja calling Krishna to bring Krishna carrying his Nanda Maharaja shoes on his head to serve his father. So we should learn as a children, we have to serve our own parents. Early morning get up, daily pay obeisances. How many children we are paying to our parents obeisances? How many of our children paying to obeisance for their own parents? No, we are not cultivating. These are all the lessons to learn from the pastimes of Supreme Lord. So we have to serve our own parents. We have to cultivate our children to obey their own parents. So like that, we can take many messages from the pastimes, Prabhuji. This is our understanding.
Prabhu, if I can add something to what all have said. Sorry, this is Radhapati Krishnadas here. Hare Krishna. Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj was in Krishna Kadadesh many years back, and he explained the stealing of the clothes by Krishna, right? Very nicely, detailed, very wonderful explanation he gave. It's a long explanation, but I'll say what he said in summary. What he's saying is he was in London, right? As a brahmachari, he was distributing books, right? He was so busy distributing books. Then Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2 or one of the cantos was printed and just came. He had a desire in his heart, said, how nice I can read this book. I have time to read this book, right? He desired that it was a Saturday evening, he was selling books and police arrested him, right? Those days they were selling, so arrested him and he was put in lockup whole Sunday. Monday is the court opening, so until Monday he was in lockup. And when Saturday he was arrested, one devotee came and gave him Srimad Bhagavatam, the new canto, right? So whole day Sunday he finished the book, because he said, I read the full book, right? Krishna fulfilled my desire, but not the way I wanted it, the way Krishna wanted it, right? So similarly, he said the gopis in Krishna's pastime, they did Katyayani Vrita, very austere Vrita, where they only eat on the floor with mouth. Whenever they eat, they eat, right? And they get up. It's a very austere Vrita she did to marry Krishna. They all wanted to marry Krishna, and they did this very severe Vrita they did. So Krishna fulfilled the desire by looking them without clothes. He married them actually, as per scriptures, he's married them the way Krishna wanted, not the way the gopis wanted. Right? The gopis wanted to marry him, but Krishna married, fulfilled the desire by doing this pastime. But very nicely, Maharaj explained very wonderfully why this pastime, the more inner meaning of the pastime. Very nice. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Kindly share that in the group, Prabhuji, for benefit of all. And
No,
nice
but
Prabhuji.
he was physically here. Yeah, Maharaj was here physically. He explained. Anyway, yeah, if I can find the same pastime, I will send.
Yeah. With that, Prabhuji, is that your question is to some certain extent answered, or still you have some more thing to ask?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, and thank you everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Nityan Prabhu. Thank you very much, VP Govinda Prabhu, for bringing in the question, and had a good discussion on that. Just before we conclude, I would like to add one point further to what Nityan Prabhu has mentioned, and also Adhapati Prabhu and Shamsundar Prabhu have added, is that yes, VP Govinda Prabhu, I know you are asking this question not to test anybody's knowledge, but to bring the more reality out. So that usually happens in the discussion, the real reasons why this is, so everyone can understand that is the main reason for you to raise these questions. My understanding and my realizations are like this. As everyone have told, every pastime of Supreme Lord has a purpose. For example, if you take, it must be bewildering for someone to see that Lord is saying, Lord Chaitanya Prabhu is saying, if you are not worshipping me, he's kind of cursing them that you will have 4 wives. So if you carefully see that sloka, chara chara, he says that he repeated twice chara chara. So means that for many times, it's not exactly 4 times. Many times many wives you will have. What exactly is the meaning of that? If you worship me, you will have one very handsome husband, and if you worship other demigods, you will have many husbands, not wives. Sorry. So what exactly it means? And you may have old people and all this, kind of a cursing. He was saying what exactly it means. His Lord is there to curse people or curse his girls. No, actually, what he meant was that he is hinting that he is Supreme Personality of Godhead, one, and one should worship only Krishna, not any other demigods. And what happens if you worship demigods? So that is what Krishna is, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is indirectly trying to convey, that you may have repeated births. Many repeated births you may have, and you have old husband, means you may have sufferings in this material world. You come back again and again, you will have sufferings again and again. Instead, worship me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You will have only one husband, handsome husband, means he will go back home, back to Godhead. So this is what Lord is indirectly hinting the girls, and those Lakshmi Priya and Lakshmi Priya, she understood, and she started worshipping him. So this is a message for every one of us. Why these pastimes were included is, see, the pastimes of Lord is not for moral stories, as we generally think, to tell the children. Yes, that adds. Sometimes it works as a moral, telling as moral stories to children, but also a wonderful message to every sadhaka. This is more for the sadhakas to understand the real meaning, the purpose of every pastime. Like he is stealing the saris. Oh, how can I tell this story to my daughter or my son? But actually, these are the stories we have to tell to the children, not the other moral stories from the books. So what actually it means is that one should surrender to, how one should surrender. Krishna is making the gopis to surrender to him. So like how Draupadi is completely surrendered to him by raising hands when Vastra is being pulled. The same way, here Krishna has taken the saris and clothes of the gopis, and he made them to surrender to him completely. The complete surrender is what Krishna is hinting through this pastime to all of us. So this is a message. These are the messages we get from the pastimes of Lord. And I would like to continue this question, or rather explanation to this in the next week class. So we'll kind of do a brief summary of this chapter, then we'll proceed with the other chapter. So thank you very much, Vipugenda Prabhu, for bringing out this wonderful question or discussion. So if we don't have any other questions, already it's our time is 9:25 in Oman. So we'll conclude the session here. Okay, thank you very much, all the devotees, for participating in today's session and the class, the discussion. With this, we'll end the session here.